Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Mike Brey Radio Show, live from O'Rourke's Public House. And, Coach, your team finds themselves in a position that they didn't expect to be in. You've lost 3 in a row now for the first time since the 09-10 season. Of course, late in that season, you went on a 6-game winning streak. The losing streak occurred when Herringody went down, and you still made the NCAA tournament. But you've had some serious personnel losses, and you're trying to reinvent during league play, and that's not easy.
We are flat out struggling. We really are struggling right now, and it's nice to be coming back home with our students there Sunday night, and obviously putting Coach Phelps up in the Ring of Honor and the 40-year anniversary of that big upset of UCLA. So I think there'll be some really good energy in the building. But since we've last been here, we've had 2 disappointing ones. In Atlanta, we had a chance to win that one, couldn't finish it. And last night we get off to a great start, get out of the gate, but my gosh, when you turn the ball over like that, it's just going to be hard to win the game. And those are the things. I think turning the ball over is the thing that's the most painful for us because we're usually pretty good with the ball. But we get back to work. Let's get back to work tomorrow. I can guarantee you whoever starts Sunday will be different than who started the last game. We're still kind of searching for the right thing and trying to plug in guys around Sherman, Atkins, and Connaughton. And we'll continue to search that as we go here.
Now, you've got the big 3. You just mentioned them, and they're playing well. They haven't all played in every game as well as they can play. I know Sherman had trouble with turnovers last night in particular, got off to a slow start against Georgia Tech. Eric has made some unforced errors. Pat had a terrific first half last night till they shut him down. But your program to me has always been based on experience, older guys who learn the system and know it so well that they don't hesitate. And when you throw really young guys into it at this time, I mean, that seems to make it tough. They have potential, but it's that split second of hesitation as they continue the progression they normally don't have to make when they're playing double-digit minutes. Seems to be hurting you now.
Well, you know, the 2 things that I think are evident is, you know, we mention our big 3, and, you know, Grant, Atkins, I wish.
Well, that's kind of the issue,
Connaughton, and Sherman, but those 3 guys got to play together better. I mean, we need those guys to play better, and they need to trust the guys they're having in there with them, and I think that is something that's still developing. You know, those guys that are in there with them, whether it's the freshmen, whether it's Burgett, Zach, whoever it is, you know, trusting them and making good decisions with it and not feeling they have to do it themselves and jumpstart us. That has been a tricky balance, which we have not found yet and got to keep trying to work on to find.
This team is making a name for itself to a degree, digging big holes and then getting out of those holes. So clearly, when they get it together, they can play very well against everyone they've played against. Last night, there are a lot of floor burns last night, but I think the frustrating thing was the rebounding. And 20 offensive rebounds is just too many. As you looked at the film, was it technique? Was it effort? Was it just not playing together? Because when you're rebounding out of a zone, everybody's got to do their job.
I think it's us being tougher in there, being more physical and tougher in there on our blockouts and more guys going after the ball. I mean, between the turnovers and the offensive rebounds, you know, you just can't survive that. Even though, you know, you had your chances and you had it down to a 2-possession game with 48 seconds, you still were kind of hanging around. But if you're going to give up that kind of stuff on the backboard and turn it over like that, I just don't think you can beat anybody in our league right now. So, you know, we've got to be more physical in there. We play small sometimes, but still, you know, Connaughton can get up and rebound. Burgett can get up and rebound. You know, Sherm has rebounded consistently, you know, for us. I think Zach can be a better defensive rebounder for us, and we need to keep coaching him on that and motivating him on that front.
And certainly rebounding, right? You know, from the end of last season, media day, you were worried about where the rebounding was coming from because you had one of the toughest and best rebounders in the country last year in Jack Cooley. And I think now we're now seeing a lot of times they say you don't appreciate what you got till it leaves. And not that people didn't appreciate Jack Cooley, but they may not have appreciated just how good a rebounder he was.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's a big void of physicalness that left the building. And, you know, Sherm has done a pretty darn good job getting his rebounds up. Pat has been up there. We need some more guys to kind of join that. You know, Burgett being a more consistent defensive rebounder. He's a very good offensive rebounder, getting to the offensive board. Zach being that defensive rebounder. Tom Knight, when he comes back, gives us another body like that to do that. Steve Astoria is a pretty good rebounder for a guard. That's the one thing where he's helped us. Now, he gets his start last night. He plays 30 minutes, and, you know, he doesn't make any shots, and it was a tough night for him. But, you know, he does rebound and gives us another bigger guard out there.
You know, and I know some people, if you know, people are busy. If they just see the headline or they see the score, they go, gee, you know, they lost again. It must be tough. But you mentioned Tom Knight, and you have enough personnel losses now. You need everybody. You needed him Saturday against a very good 7-footer to give Sherm some help. You needed him last night. He had the sprained ankle. Then he got the flu, and I guess the flu's now kind of morphed.
Yeah.
Now he's got really bad flu.
Yeah, he's really sick. I mean, he's almost got borderline pneumonia, and so we will not have him Sunday, and we will not have him Tuesday, and maybe we'll have him at Wake Forest. So we've got to kind of go without him for a while. I mean, he'll get back to us eventually, and that'll be a nice addition. In the meantime, you know, these are the guys we have, and even Austin Torres has to stay ready in a situation like we're in right now.
You know, you touched on toughness, and that's always been one of your watchwords. You go throughout your tenure here. One of the reasons you brought Danny Miller onto the team back in the early part of the last decade was his toughness, and you got to the Sweet 16. Ben Hansbrough, very, very tough.
Yep.
Herringody, Cooley, toughness. And after last year's loss to Iowa State, an Iowa State team, and nobody ever wants to hear it. I know when you lost to Baylor down in the Virgin Islands, I was telling people that's a pretty good team. Well, they turned out to be pretty darn good.
Yeah.
I'm trying to tell people Iowa State's pretty darn good. Well, people know they're pretty darn good now, but you guys as a staff and a team said, you know, we got to get tougher. And you even brought in kind of a boot camp-like situation this summer in the beginning of camp when the kids came back with that in mind to try to make this team tougher.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a thing that we're evolving through, and not just physical, but mentally too. You know, right now your confidence is shaken a little bit. You know, your leaders have to be really good, and we have to be good with our guys as far as it's a fine line between getting on them about stuff and getting them confident again and helping them believe that, you know, they can win a league game because it's been a while. So that's a fine line. Again, it's not anything we haven't been in before. You know, we have been in tough situations before. I actually mentioned the Herringody year where we were 6-8 in the league and surged to find it. And that's kind of, you know, I was realistic once we lost Grant. That's probably what it was going to be. It was going to be hard for us, and it's very hard. And we're still trying to figure it out. And maybe we don't have it figured out until the ACC tournament. And so I have an open mind to lineups, who's going to start. Do we look at this? And I think we're throwing a lot of things up on the wall right now. In the meantime, you want to pick off enough wins so you stay in the discussion. And we really need one Sunday. Because
what you're trying to do now is what you normally do in November because of the personnel losses. And I will throw this out. I mention it occasionally on the broadcast, but in terms of you, your fellow coaches, your players, you're not talking about Jaren anymore because he's gone. You're not saying, well, this happened because. As far as you guys are concerned, this is what you've got, and you need to be playing better than you were playing. But you are going through a process that's tough to go through at the beginning of your conference season.
Well, we don't talk about Jaren Grant or Tom Knight. I mean, those guys are off the board. You know, Tom Knight will rejoin us at some point, I hope. If he is, great. We'll evaluate it. Here are the guys we have. How do we coach them? How do we help them put them in position? I love how we played in the first half. Like, our zone defense was really good. We were efficient offensively. We did turn it over, but we were solid for the most part other than that. And but in the second half, where they really got to us was on the second shots. There was a flurry of second shots that kind of broke our spirit, and we never could recover from that after that.
Folks, when we come back, we're going to talk about a couple of ceremonies, one held earlier this week to honor one Notre Dame coach and another that will be held Sunday to honor another Notre Dame coach. But first, this time out, it's the Mike Brey Radio Show, live from O'Rourke's Public House. Back to the Mike Brey Radio Show, live from O'Rourke's Public House. And as you may know, Coach Brey graduated from George Washington University in Washington, D.C. They're rather fond of Coach there, and they've been trying for years to honor him at a game to bring him into their Hall of Fame, and it just worked out this week that the schedule worked out. So he was honored at halftime of the George Washington VCU game. By the way, you didn't really want to do it. They asked him to speak to the team, the George Washington team, before the game, and I didn't go in, but I know some people who were there. He gave an inspiring speech, and they went out and upset VCU by 10.
Yeah, I think I used all my bullets with GW. I'm pissed. you know, I mean, anyways, it was a very special night, being back at my alma mater. My mother was the women's swimming coach there, got her master's degree. Tish played volleyball there, and we met there, and we had a neat thing happen. We all graduated on the same day. Both Tish and I got in our undergraduate degrees, and my mom getting her master's. So great memories. My dad has his master's from there. Saw a lot of familiar faces. Bob Talon, who coached me there. So it was neat to be back, and it was great to see GW, who's having a really good year under Mike Lonergan. I got out of there at halftime, but I did see the score later at night where they got a big win. So I hadn't been back in the Smith Center down there in, oh man, probably the mid-'90s when I coached at Delaware. We played down there. So yeah, it was a neat night. Little exhausting, you know, seeing everybody and being back on Maryland turf with all your people coming after you. And I'm looking forward to going to Tallahassee. I don't know many people there. I can just go into the hotel and coach the game on next Tuesday night. And but it was really it was a special evening, and GW made it a great memory. They had some nice video tributes. I did get a chance to see Morgan Wooten. He came by the locker room before the Maryland game, and you know, that guy's had such an impact on me. So you know, a lot of familiar faces. I would have liked to gotten out of that town 2-0, not 1-1 with my alma mater getting the win. But a good memory. Right. And we got even a bigger night coming. Absolutely. Sunday. Sunday is going to be one of those special nights in, you know, our history. Coach Phelps going into the Ring of Honor, so well deserved. Many of the players from that 74 team that snapped the UCLA streak at 88 games, 11 of the 18 will be back. Some other guys will be back. And it's going to be a really neat night. It comes at a good time because we need juice and we need help, and we're going to try and ride all that good karma to get a league win against Virginia Tech. But, you know, I'm honored that Digger can go up on my watch. I think it's very, very fitting. He has been a really good friend and mentor to me. He's the one guy around here that sat in the same seat that I sit in and can relate to some of the things you go through being a head coach. And he's been very, very helpful, and I know he is really excited about the night. He's worried he's not going to get through his speech and get emotional, and I said, I hope you do get emotional. This place means so much to him. So it's going to be a fun night, a lot of memories, a lot of video tributes up there, and let's get a league win while we're doing it.
All right, folks, I hope those of you watching are watching those of you here, did you see what he just did? And folks listening, did you hear what he just did? He got off Mike Brey and GW before I could say another word and got right to Digger. But I'm just going to add this, and you don't have to react, but one of the things that I wish all the fans could see perspective-wise is I got to chat with a lot of people who knew you, who coached you, the video tribute from Morgan Wooten, and we're going to run a little bit of it on your show tomorrow. Okay. So the surprise is gone now, okay. But you can watch that as well. But people who are so respected in the college basketball world and just how much respect that they have for this guy. And everybody coming up telling me how lucky we are to have him. And Jonathan Sippis, who's now the George Washington women's head coach, was on Muffet's staff for 8 years, did such a great job. Talked to me a lot about the influence that Mike had on him and how Mike helped Jonathan pick the right job and get in the right situation. So, you know, when things get a little tough, and it's always easy to say, damn coach, just, I mean, we'll get through this again. Been there before. We just talked about that. But this is one tremendously respected gentleman. And a lot of people, quite honestly, since you've already opened the word, since we've approved this word now, a lot of people, GW, are pissed that you're not there.
Yeah, they kept dropping hints about would you ever come back here and coach. You know?
And they kept saying they tried to get you, and it's just the timing just wasn't right.
The timing wasn't right. No, I'm at my spot. I'm thrilled where we are and excited about our future and really engaged on reinventing us right now. We've been in these situations before. My staff and I kind of thrive in these situations. So we're going to get back to work, and this story isn't over yet.
And now giving Digger his due, but you really were instrumental in getting this night set up, and you've kind of been instrumental in bringing him back into the program where an outside observer who didn't know who was on the staff who go to practice might think he's kind of a special assistant now because he's there when he's in town. He's at practice, he'll even call you over in the middle of practice, which I at times find very amusing.
He always has good insights, but well, I mean, obviously it didn't end. His coaching tenure didn't end the way he would have wanted it to end, and I think he was distant from the program through the 90s. But when I got back, my feeling was we needed to reconnect not only with him and get him back around, but get our former players around. You know, the 90s were a tough decade. We didn't go to the NCAA tournament. A lot of our former players became disconnected and weren't very proud of the program. And then we had 3 coaches in 3 years, so there was just how do you connect with Notre Dame men's basketball? We started our reunions back, and we still do that every couple years, and this kind of Sunday will be
a huge reunion of the Digger years.
This is a reunion of his guys, and
a lot of them are coming back.
Right, and I felt it was important to have him back around, man. He's meant a lot to this place. He loves the place. And, you know, we just talked about it as a committee, and John Heisler's here tonight. We talked, you know, who's the next guy to go up. It was cut and dry. Coach needs to go up, and we got a lot of other people that need to go up in that, but we'll get to that. But Coach needs to go up Sunday, and the timing of it, the 40-year anniversary of the, you know, it
to
just
the day.
To the day. It's just too much good stuff there. So this will be a really powerful night in our history.
It's going to be a fun night to attend, and there are still a few tickets available. So the game is 6 p.m. It is, of course, against Virginia Tech on Sunday night. 40 years to the day that Digger led the Irish over UCLA to break their 88-game winning streak. The Ring of Honor ceremony at halftime, but throughout the game, we have lots of videos put together, special greetings. I know LaFonso tried to get out of his ESPN commitment on Monday night. He won't be there, but Pax will be there. Shoes coming back.
Trapuka's
coming back. I mean, and again, people who know closely thought that those two guys butted heads for a while. So you can see now the way all the respect is coming back in. It's going to be a special night. So you can get the tickets at the ticket office on UND.com or call the ticket office, 574-631-7356.
You know, Jack, those former guys have been great with me, too. You know, I get the job in 2000, and they certainly want a program to be proud of again because they played in a program that they were proud of, and they've been really supportive. John Paxson, Trapuka, John Shoemate, Hanslick, those guys have been great at supporting us and talking to my guys when they're in town for a football weekend, pulling Eric Atkins aside and giving him some advice. So, you know, we truly have a Notre Dame men's basketball family now. I don't know if that was the case through the 90s, but we got that thing started in early 2000. And, you know, I feel very responsible for kind of being the patriarch of that thing along with Coach Phelps from his era.
And it's a big night for Notre Dame basketball on the ESPN family of networks on Sunday night. Not only is the Notre Dame game on one of the ESPNs, but I know we're happy to announce Fighting Irish Digital Media in partnership with Three Penny Films is announcing the debut of the 60-minute special television presentation, 88-1, presented by Coca-Cola, the story of Notre Dame's historic victory over UCLA on January 19, 1974. The show features in-depth interviews with Dick Enberg, who called the game, UCLA star Bill Walton. You've got to see Walton. And they really he's told the story a lot, but they had to coax him to do this. But he sat down, and he let you know exactly how he feels about that game. And Digger, Dwight Clay's in it, Gary Brokaw, John Shoemate, and, of course, Digger. The show will premiere on ESPN2 Sunday night at 8 p.m. It airs 4 additional times next week on ESPNU. And then in the coming weeks, we're going to announce other ways that you can actually we're trying to set up a way that you can purchase the show yourself, so we'll keep you up to date. So big night for Notre Dame basketball on Sunday night. We'll talk more about the game in our last segment, but when we come back, you've got questions for Coach, and we're going to ask him right here on the Mike Brey Radio Show, live from O'Rourke's Public House. Coach Brey here tonight on the Mike Brey Radio Show, live from O'Rourke's Public House. Derek Scott's here from South Bend. Derek, thanks for being here. Coach, different conferences use different basketballs. What does the ACC use? Has there been a drastic difference between ACC and Big East in terms of the basketball?
Well, it's not different conferences. Each university has their own ball deal. You know, we have, even though we're an Adidas school, which is soon going to change, but we've been a Wilson basketball. I've been with Wilson since I was a head coach in 2000 because Wilson is the NCAA tournament ball. So I want to play with the NCAA tournament ball, and we will stay with that. For example, last night, Under Armour, Maryland's an Under Armour school. They're playing with an Under Armour ball. You're playing at Georgia Tech with a Nike ball. We have a closet full of Nike, Spalding, Under Armour, and Adidas basketballs to break out in practice the couple days before we go to play whatever they use, which I don't know how smart that is. It'd be great to get one uniform basketball, but that's going to be impossible because apparel deals now apparel deals. They're doing inflatables, you know, and so it's a little different, but you got to get that ball. Now, again, we'll be back with the Wilson balls in our hands for a couple days, but then on Monday in practice before we go to Tallahassee, we'll have the Nike balls out because Florida State plays with the Nike ball. So that is an interesting dynamic. And, you know, sometimes when they talk about scoring is down and all that, I do think that affects offense. When you keep changing, when you think, what is the most important thing in our game? The freaking ball. And we mess around with the ball a lot. You know, there's a different ball here, and there's a different ball over there. And, you know, I mean, it's
well, think when you were little, playing pickup.
Yeah.
I know when we played,
now,
we had a favorite ball.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Eric Atkins has a ball for games here, you know, that nobody can touch. Like, don't mess with that ball. That thing is, you know, that's sacred. So it's not going to change. I'm just saying, though, I think sometimes that really affects, you know, teams offensively because you're changing the equipment, the most important part of the equipment. Oh, we got these cool uniforms, and we're going to change the rules, and we're going to call hand checks. I wonder if we played with the Wilson ball for a month, everybody, what the numbers would be offensively. Never happened because everybody has their own deal, and that's the way it goes.
Doug Buell's here from Michigan City. Loyal fans, season ticket holders. What will be the most difficult matchup for the Virginia Tech game?
You know, I just got a chance to watch a half of them before I came over here. I don't know them well, but the one thing that sticks out is they are shooting the basketball. They've been real three-point line explosive. They've made double-digit threes a number of times. They've got 3-4 guys that can shoot it. So it's not so much a low-post game. It's shooting three-point shots. And so our awareness of guarding guys out on the arc, I think, is going to be the key. For us, we got to take better care of the ball. We can't turn that thing over 14 times and beat them. Got to be better with the ball. Got to keep second shots to a minimum. You know, those are two areas that we'll really concentrate on and talk about over the next 2 days. But we've got to be aware of their shooters.
And statistically in the league, you've still taken care of the ball very well throughout the season.
Yeah.
But in some of the games, they've been untimely turnovers, and I mean, last night you just weren't good with it.
Though, you know, the assist to turnover is something we have really hung our hat here on our program and our offensive efficiency. That's the thing that stings me the most when we turn that thing over at a high clip. Canisius game, we had 16 turnovers. We have 16 last night. I think the other games, Duke, we were single digits. NC State was 11. Georgia Tech was single digits. You know, we should be right around 10 and maybe single digits. We're better than that. We started the game off and the half off with a turnover. Yeah. You know, I mean, we started the game with a turnover and the half off with a turnover. And I was talking to our guys today saying that's not, we don't even get a shot. Come on, we're better than that. So those are areas we have to be better at. And what's frustrating is we have been better in those areas. And all of a sudden, we're a little sideways with our decision-making with the ball. It's got to be better.
Tony's here from Elkhart. Coach, hard to pass up an open three. Good things happen when players take the ball to the basket. Is there a balance, or do you take what the defense gives you?
Well, I think you have to take what the defense gives you. You know, our young guys got a lot of good looks last night. Steve Astoria got his first start. He got some really good looks. He's got to keep shooting the ball because, you know, he made a lot of big shots against Duke, and he's made big shots for us. I don't want to call him off that. But it's not bad to put that thing on the floor and get to the basket and maybe draw a foul. I think Demetrius Jackson is starting to do that a little bit more, get in there and get fouled and not settle for a jump shot. Burgett had a nice drive. You know, he can drive the ball for us too. So, you know, you're not saying don't drive it. I never want guys, you know, looking over their shoulder and like this before they have a great shot. We're going to have to step up and take good shots. But if you have a driving opportunity, let's get in there and maybe we can get to the foul line and get to the bonus some.
I got to hand it to her. Sue from Boston was at the Maryland game last night. She's back here at the show tonight.
Made it back.
Coach, of the last 3 games, which film has the team watched the most?
Well, we're not going to watch any of Maryland because, you know, we more talk about that. Probably NC State. We watched a lot of that. We took our time and digested that. Probably gave them just some clips of Georgia Tech game situation stuff. You know, again, you know, today was a mandatory off day of being on the practice floor because we're now back in school. Tomorrow when we come back, we're not going to get anything out of watching that. They know turning the ball over, not getting the first miss killed us. I think we have to kind of put that behind us. Really, we have to put the last 4 behind us. That includes Duke. And kind of get in here with a clean slate and practice well with good energy tomorrow and Saturday to try and earn a league win.
Mike Nolan's here from Michigan City. Great name, but no relation. Coach, can a man-to-man defense help rebounding and boxing out, or do you feel you're not quick enough right now to play man on a consistent basis?
No, I think, I think your rebounding responsibilities are probably a little better when you're man-to-man. We were getting a lot of good stuff out of our zone. They were turning it over. We were challenging shots. They were never in much of a rhythm in the first half and even early into the second half. So the zone really helped us, and our zone is something we will rely on and use. It's one of those things where if we get into it and it's working, we could play it for 30 minutes, and we probably played it for 25 or 28 minutes last night. Then they started to get into a rhythm against it and make some shots. So you got to change your defense a little bit. And then sometimes you change for a couple possessions and go back. I don't care what we were in last night. We weren't getting the first miss. It had nothing to do with man versus zone. We were getting pushed around, and our manhood was being insulted, quite frankly, whether it was zone or man. And we're going to have to be tougher there.
Well, there's a guy on your team who has shown some toughness in the last couple of games. His name's Austin Burgett. He's played well in both the Georgia Tech and Maryland games. We're going to get him up here right after this timeout. The Mike Brey Radio Show, live from O'Rourke's Pub. Back in the Mike Brey Radio Show at O'Rourke's, please welcome Austin Burgett, 6'9", 227-pound sophomore forward, Avon, Indiana, down by Indianapolis. And I told you he's been playing pretty well. He's played a total of 38 minutes in the last 2 games. He scored 20 points with 7 rebounds in those 2 games. And, of course, he made national video highlights with 5 impressive blocks against Duke. And Jabari Parker, I think, still having nightmares about you in that game. But this is a guy, sophomore year again in your program. It takes a while to get up to speed, but he is improving rapidly.
Well, what's lost in the losses is how well he's playing. He's playing well, and he's kind of trending back up. He got off to a good start, then had a little bit of a tough segment. But really, since we started league play, he's been really good for us, and we're just learning to rely on him more. I think he's getting more comfortable and more confident. Took some open shots last night with some good ones. Made it. Driving the ball. Certainly we know defensively back there he can fly around and block shots and make plays. He's good with the ball. Watch him, too. He's a good screener. He learned a lot playing against and watching Scott Martin. He was Scott Martin's little brother. Scott Martin took him under his wing, and he learned a lot watching Scott, flow in an offense. He's easy to play with, screen, get guys open, when to rotate over defensively. And he's got really good instincts. And I think as we move towards Sunday, this guy becomes really important because of how well he's playing right now.
How much easier is it for you right now than it was at this time last year?
A lot easier. I mean, playing and whatnot. But like you said, Scott Martin was a big brother to me and pretty much helped me out and showed me really how the system worked and how I could fit in.
You are a somewhat, I think, unique big man in that people know you can block shots. You're a good rebounder. You're physical, but you can also stick the 3 and run the floor. What do you think your strengths are as the folks at home on Watching D get to watch you in action this year?
I'd say just like the stretch foreman that like Scott gave us the past year and just being able to open the floor and Coach Brey said screen, get other people open, not always looking for my own shot and trying to get other people open.
Now, basketball wasn't necessarily your first love. Baseball was your first love. Why?
My dad played baseball, and he tried out for a minor league team, and he's just always had me like push for that when I was younger, and I enjoyed it, but I kind of got burnt out on it.
When did the switch to basketball occur?
I'd say like 6th, 7th grade.
Now, I read one interview where you said you were probably better at baseball in high school. You were a pitcher and outfielder, but you just like basketball better.
Yeah, this is true. I was pretty good, I would say, but just didn't have the love for it, wasn't there.
Now, I know being a big pitcher, that helps because the ball's coming from way up high and you get velocity. But you got a huge strike zone. How were you at the plate?
I'd say I wasn't very good there, just pitching. Wish we could have a DH, but at that age we didn't have one.
Now, your guys are pretty good on social media. He's active, but there's nothing controversial there, except last weekend you did tweet out, "I hate Patrick Connaughton." What was the connotation to that?
Well, there's a big game. I'm a Colts fan, and my dad's a season ticket holder, so we were playing the Pats, and during the game we weren't playing so great, and Pat wouldn't stop texting me. And
The Connaughtons, of course, from the Boston area, and Pat is somewhat outspoken in his continued allegiance to New England and Boston area teams. Academically, you wasted very little time. Last year, you knew you wanted to major in business. So how is that going?
I think I've talked to Coach Brey about it earlier this year, and I'm thinking about switching to FTT. I haven't decided what yet.
Oh, really? Okay.
But I'm still thinking about getting a minor in economics.
Never easy here. A minor, a major. What attracts you about FTT?
I took a class this past semester. It was Intro to Film, and I really liked it. I had it with Zach and Steve, and the teacher was really, really good and interacted with her really well, and thought I might switch and talk to P. Holmes about it, and we thought it might be a good idea.
Now, you were one of the most highly recruited players in your recruiting class. You had offers from Northwestern, Cincinnati, Iowa, Xavier, Butler, Ohio. Lots of other folks were heavily recruiting you, Purdue, Michigan. I mean, the list goes on and on. You were a McDonald's All-American Game nominee. You had a lot of choices. What was it? What turned the table for you to pick Notre Dame?
The recruiting process, I saw Coach Slow a lot, and I really liked him through it, and met Coach Brey. I thought they had a good system here, and I really liked how it was like more than just a basketball school. It was like a good community, had the school aspect, team aspect, and really caught my eye.
You know, even when the season's not undergoing, you're not around much because you're spending most of your time recruiting. You look at lots of kids. What attracted you to Austin?
Feel for the game. You know, again, you looked and said, that's kind of Scott Martin-like. A four-man who can face the bucket, stretch the defense, knows how to play. He's good with the basketball. He makes good decisions with the ball. He used to, you know, he hasn't done it as much for us right now, but he will eventually. He can bring it up in the open court, make decisions with it. And then he's got a really lively body, as we saw in the Duke game. He can get up off the floor and make plays, but he knows how to play. Like when he's on the floor, we flow better because he just understands how to play with other guys. So I'm really pleased with where we're not pleased where our team is. I'm pleased where he's at. And in coaching, when you're in one of those, you got to remember to keep bringing this along and not dwell on, oh my God, we lost 3 in a row. Like, wait a minute, this guy's playing well. Let's keep coaching him and getting him confident and showing him some things we can build on.
I want to take a moment to remind you, Steiner is your exclusive provider of game-used and hand-signed ND collectibles. Visit steinersports.com or call 1-800-759-SCORE to speak with one of our VIP sales associates. When we come back, Austin's going to run the Mike Brey Radio Show Fast Break, but first, this timeout. We're back in a moment. We're back in the Mike Brey Radio Show live from O'Rourke's Public House, and it's time for Austin to answer the Fast Break questions. Favorite all-time movie?
Step Brothers.
First car you ever drove?
BMW.
Get up early or sleep in?
Sleep in.
Do you have a celebrity crush?
Not that I can think of.
So, do you have a girlfriend?
No.
Oh, if you have a girlfriend, that's not a good question to answer. No. Some folks have gotten in real trouble answering that question. Movies or music?
Music.
Favorite musical artist?
I don't know if I have like a favorite artist, but maybe like a group.
Okay.
Would be like the genre, like hip hop rap.
Okay. Who's your role model?
Father.
One thing the public would be surprised to learn about you.
I can play the piano.
Favorite NBA player?
Paul George.
Do you have a favorite part of practice?
Shooting with Coach Lowe before practice.
Worst part of practice?
3-on-0, 4-on-0.
Really?
Couldn't think of anything.
Part of your game you need to work on.
We'll change that tomorrow, I guess.
Yeah. Part of your game you need to work on.
Consistently rebounding.
I think everybody needs to work on that right now.
Yeah.
Player on the team most like you?
Don't want to say this, but Tom Knight.
Really? Okay.
People say we look alike. That's the only similarity.
Now, you have pregame meals, but just as favorite food you like to eat after a game?
Normally go to O'Rourke's or Five Guys with my family. So.
Good plug.
Yeah, outstanding.
Yeah. Yep.
Probably violated some NCAA rule, but it was inadvertent. You have 1 hour of free time. What do you do?
Hang in my dorm with my roommates.
And that's something I did want to bring up as we break the flow here, but I know I read where one of the things you really like about coming to Notre Dame is you aren't separated from the student body. You don't have a basketball dorm. You're living with just regular students, and that really attracted you. Why?
I think it was like a good thing, like not have a segregated or separated, because I think it's good to like stay in the population and like not have like students like look at you as like a higher person and like think like, oh, like see you on campus and be like, oh, I can't talk to him. He's a basketball player or a football player, and like just being involved with them.
I mean, and when you're in college, I mean, this is when you mature into a real adult. How do you think that has helped you getting you out of just the basketball world, which is a wonderful world to live in, but it's not necessarily the real world?
I think it's like building relationships, get more than just like the normal type of people that you hang out with. I mean, and it's good. I feel like you see your teammates every day, and it's good to be with other people.
Favorite sports team other than Notre Dame?
Pacers.
ACC team you look forward to playing the most if we haven't already played them?
Carolina.
Team not on the schedule you'd like to play someday?
Butler.
Player on the team most likely to be on the cell phone the longest?
I had an answer, but he's not here anymore.
Okay.
Eric Atkins.
Toughest class you have taken at Notre Dame so far?
Probably philosophy or theology.
City or place in the world you would like to visit?
Las Vegas.
One person you would like to meet, alive or dead?
John Stamos.
One thing you always hear from Coach Brey in practice?
Energy. We need energy.
This is Coach Brey's favorite question. Assistant coach, who is most like Coach Brey?
None of them. He's unique.
Ooh. Oh.
He's starting.
Best nickname on the team, and who has it?
Me. Berg.
Best player to room with on the road?
VJ or Steve?
Toughest Notre Dame player to guard?
Eric.
Best defender on the team?
Pat Connaughton.
Best leaper on the team?
Austin Burgett.
Best dunker on the team?
Austin Burgett or Eric Katenda.
Worst dunker on the team?
Pat Crowley.
Best dresser on the team?
Tom Knight.
Worst dresser on the team?
Steve.
Steve's getting a lot of heat on worst dresser this year.
He has been. I haven't paid attention to that.
Well, yesterday he came on the bus, I noticed. He had his warm-ups, but he had like a plaid button-down shirt underneath his game warm-ups. I did find it odd.
It's a Jersey guy. That New Jersey stuff, you never know.
Different style over there.
Jersey. It's Jersey.
Best singer on the team?
Zach.
Worst singer on the team?
Eric Katenda.
Best comedian on the team?
Steve or Tom.
Free throw contest, who wins, you or Coach Brey?
After seeing that video at GW, I don't know. I think it'd be close, but I think I got him.
All right, outstanding job, Austin.
Good job, Austin.
We'll be back to wrap things up and focus on the Virginia Tech game right after this final timeout of the Mike Brey Radio Show, live from O'Rourke's Public House. Now, we want to remind all men's basketball season ticket holders, as we return to the Mike Brey Radio Show, that you can win great prizes, including complimentary season tickets for next season with a perfect attendance record during ACC play this year. Don't miss a single conference game. We know you have commitments. Or ensure your tickets are used for each game, and you will be automatically entered to win. For more information, be sure to follow Notre Dame men's basketball on Facebook or Twitter. Virginia Tech, also 1-3 in the league right now, but as you said, I was doing the numbers on the flight back last night. They're deep. They play 10 guys. They can shoot the ball. They're going to be refreshed. I mean, I know we have fond memories of our last trip there because I think that was the game where you clinched the Big East West Division title.
You're right.
Because we did the TV show on the floor right afterwards.
That's right. We've won twice in Blacksburg, and we beat them once here, I think, when they were in the Big East. But you know, you got two teams dying for a win. There's no question about it. And here early in the league season, and you know, the great thing about us is, let's remember now, we've got 12 league games left. This thing is going to go up, down, left, and right. We've been in crazy positions before in the Big East. For us, 2 good days of practice. Let's earn a league win on Sunday. Let's see how we feel if that happens as we head to Tallahassee and Winston-Salem.
And I've told you this before, and I mean it honestly. I am finding what you're going through now interesting. Who's going to step up? What are they going to do? Who's going to mesh? And the frustrating thing is, you have been so damn competitive. In fact, every game you've lost, you could have won, and maybe, and this is what's frustrating, maybe you should have won them, but you didn't yet. Yeah. But it's not like it's been, there's no shot tonight. It's getting over that hump and getting young guys basically to accelerate into a position that maybe you weren't going to ask them to be able to play for another year or so.
Well, there's no question. We're speeding some things up with our young guys, and that's okay because they have great frame of mind. They're team guys. They're good students. They want to be good. I just don't want them getting down on themselves and feel like they're letting us down. You know, we got to keep helping them. We got to keep coaching them. We got to keep maybe simplifying to put them in a better position. But they're going to play. You know, when we came back from Christmas, given the roster we had, I told them, you're all playing. So nobody needs to hang their head or worry. Let's get back in practice tomorrow and get some good reps and have some good energy in practice tomorrow and see if we can make some strides before we tip it off Sunday at 6.
And Austin, you're probably where you're supposed to be. And I know there was some talk, you went back and forth between Coach and you. Did you not play last year? Do you play? You decided you wanted to play last year. The experience you got in those 16 games, how much do you think that's helped you get to where you are right now?
I think it's helped me. I don't know if playing because I didn't play a lot, but I think the biggest part, like we've said, is Scott Martin. I think he did a lot for me and has really helped me to get where I am today.
All right. What do you think the keys are against Virginia Tech?
Well,
rebound.
He hasn't seen any Virginia Tech yet. But go ahead, Austin. I think you're on the right track.
I wanted to see the answer he got. I knew you hadn't really studied.
I was going to say, don't let as many offensive rebounds and have good energy, and just got to have good leadership out there and stick together.
Also, remember, you can always flush me in something like that. How am I supposed to know? But I know this year the focus is on your team, and that's exactly what he answered.
Yeah, now really for us, given what we're trying to figure out, we can't spend too much time on our opponent. We'll have some key points that we need to and some tendencies. It's about us every day, and I think it's going to be that way all the way up till the ACC tournament.
It will be interesting. Hopefully you come on out if you can't get there. Airtime here on the WSBT stations, 5:40 for the 6 o'clock game on Sunday night. Austin, great job. Thank you, Coach. A pleasure as always. Folks, thanks for listening. Thanks for coming out. Good night and go Irish.